Hello guys, you are seeing Prime News Australia, where we show you the latest and important news of Australia in the fastest and reliable way. So come, let's start by not delaying 25 big updates of the Australia, especially for you. Before proceeding in the video, comment by commenting from which state you are watching, and also like video so that YouTube can reach this video to more people of Australia.
Australian consumer confidence has plunged to a new record low of 58.8 points, according to the latest ANZ Roy Morgan survey, the weakest reading since tracking began in 1973. Households cited soaring fuel prices, inflation fears linked to the Iran war, and broader economic uncertainty as key factors. The 4-week moving average also fell sharply, with sub-indices for current and future finances hitting historic lows, while inflation expectations climbed to 6.9%, signaling growing pessimism among Australians ahead of Easter. Doctors are urging Australians to get their flu vaccinations immediately after nearly 26,000 influenza cases were recorded nationwide so far in 2026. The Royal Australian College of General Practitioners warned of a potential horror season as cooler weather approaches, especially following last year's severe outbreak. A highly contagious Super K strain is driving much of the surge, with experts stressing that declining vaccination rates leave vulnerable groups at higher risk of severe illness and hospitalization. Major social media platforms including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube have been flagged by the e-Safety Commissioner for significant compliance gaps in enforcing the under-16 age ban. The first official report highlighted major shortcomings in blocking Australian minors, raising concerns that hefty penalties could follow if improvements are not made quickly. The watchdog continues to monitor the world-first law introduced late last year, which aims to protect young users from online harms. A landmark University of New South Wales study published in the journal Carcinogenesis has found that nicotine vapes and e-cigarettes are likely to cause lung and oral cancers. The Australian research reviewed global evidence and confirmed long-held parental concerns about vaping risks, strengthening calls for stricter regulations on e-cigarette sales and marketing. Health authorities say the findings add weight to ongoing efforts to curb youth uptake of vaping products across the country. Dramatic blood-red skies blanketed parts of Western Australia, including Shark Bay, as dust whipped up by tropical cyclone Narelle created an apocalyptic scene ahead of the storm's approach. The cyclone made landfall near Exmouth before being downgraded, but the striking visuals captured global attention and highlighted the intense weather events affecting the region. Residents described the crimson haze as both beautiful and eerie during the lead-up to the system. Israel's ambassador to Australia defended the investigation into the drone strike that killed Australian aid worker Zomi Frankcom and 6 others in Gaza during a National Press Club address. He stated there was no awareness of the probe being shelved and addressed concerns over Australian investigator Mark Binskin's lack of access to drone audio. The remarks came amid ongoing diplomatic discussions about accountability and support for families affected by the incident. The Australian government has entered the second stage of its 4-point National Fuel Security Plan, following emergency national cabinet discussions on supply disruptions linked to the Middle East war. Measures include monitoring global developments, ensuring continued movement of fuel, and preparing contingency options. Prime Minister Albanese emphasized that voluntary steps would be prioritized before any escalation, while urging against hoarding to maintain stability for households and businesses. Radio host Jackie O. Henderson has launched legal action against ARN Media, seeking at least $82.25 million in compensation after her contract was allegedly terminated unfairly in breach of the Fair Work Act. The high-profile case has attracted widespread media attention as it unfolds in the courts. Details of the dispute center on claims of wrongful dismissal and potential impacts on the Australian radio industry. The Reserve Bank of Australia released the minutes from its March 2026 monetary policy meeting, highlighting discussions around recent rate hikes to 4.1% amid global energy shocks. Board members stressed the need for continued vigilance on inflation pressures flowing from the international conflict. The document underscored uncertainties in the economic outlook and the importance of data-driven decisions in the coming months. Government modeling has considered potential fuel rationing thresholds, with voluntary measures possibly triggered if diesel stockpiles fall to 15 days supply and mandatory steps at 10 days. The analysis reflects growing concerns over prolonged disruptions to global oil routes due to the Middle East situation. Authorities continue to work with suppliers to secure additional cargoes and maintain adequate reserves for critical sectors. Treasurer Jim Chalmers addressed the media from Parliament House on the nation's economic challenges, including rising fuel costs, inflation, and the broader effects of global events on Australia's outlook. He outlined government support measures for households while acknowledging the financial stress many families are facing. Chalmers emphasized a coordinated response across federal and state levels to stabilize the situation. New details have emerged about the final moments of fugitive Desi Freeman, who was shot by police after allegedly killing 2 officers. The wanted man emerged from a shipping container during a tense confrontation that ended a 7-month manhunt. The operation has drawn scrutiny over police tactics and raised questions about ongoing extremism issues linked to the suspect's ideologies. Guardian Australia has published its selection of the best photos from March 2026, capturing diverse moments including Baker's delights, a spiky surprise encounter, and a joyful Mardi Gras marriage. The gallery showcases the country's vibrant life amid challenging times, from everyday scenes to significant cultural events. These images provide a visual snapshot of Australia's resilience and creativity during the month. New regulations for international student visas took effect on March 31st, introducing tighter compliance requirements and digital processing shifts. Education sector stakeholders are closely monitoring the changes for their impact on enrollments and overall migration settings. The updates form part of broader government efforts to balance international education with domestic priorities. Concerns have been raised that some Australian sporting organizations are failing to adequately report cases of child abuse within their ranks. Advocacy groups are calling for stronger mandatory reporting rules and better oversight to protect young athletes. The issue has prompted renewed debate about safeguarding standards across community and elite sports. Experts warn that widespread fuel rationing could become necessary if the Middle East conflict further disrupts global oil supplies and shipping routes. Australians have been advised to prepare for potential shortages as petrol and diesel prices continue to surge, and some stations report stock issues. The government is engaging with international suppliers to mitigate risks. In response to soaring fuel prices and cost of living pressures, the Victorian government announced temporary free travel on trains, trams, and buses across the state. The initiative aims to support commuters and ease the burden on households during the fuel crisis. It forms part of broader state-level measures to help residents cope with economic challenges. The Reserve Bank of Australia has moved to limit or remove credit and debit card surcharges in a bid to reduce costs for consumers and businesses in everyday transactions. The changes seek greater transparency and fairness in payment systems. Retailers and financial institutions are preparing for the implementation of the new rules. Telecommunications giant Telstra has been ordered to significantly shrink its advertised mobile coverage maps by about 1 million square kilometers to better reflect actual service availability. The move improves transparency for customers and addresses long-standing complaints about misleading coverage claims. Regulators say the adjustment will help consumers make more informed choices. More than 10,000 Australians have been safely repatriated from the Middle East region amid the ongoing conflict, with Foreign Minister Penny Wong providing regular consular updates. Diplomatic efforts continue to support those still seeking to return. The government has emphasized its commitment to assisting citizens affected by the regional instability. The educational program Behind the News, BTN, Episode 9, for 2026, covered topics including potential new free trade deals with Europe, cat population management on Kangaroo Island, Easter celebrations, and highlights from women's history. The show continues to deliver age-appropriate explanations of current affairs to young viewers across Australia. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has called on U.S. President Donald Trump to provide clearer objectives and commit to ending the conflict in the Middle East, highlighting the severe economic damage it is causing to Australia and the global economy. Albanese stressed the need for certainty to help stabilize fuel and energy markets. The remarks reflect growing domestic pressure over the war's spillover effects. Economists have revised their interest rate forecasts upward due to energy price shocks and heightened inflation risks stemming from the prolonged Middle East situation. Some banks now predict additional RBA cash rate hikes in the coming months, potentially pushing rates to an 18-year high. Mortgage holders face increased financial pressure as a result. Officials from Australia, Turkey, and the United Nations held their first official meeting to advance preparations for COP31 and the associated Pacific Pre-COP, focusing on climate action priorities. The discussions emphasized collaborative efforts on emissions reduction and adaptation strategies. Australia continues to play a key role in international climate diplomacy ahead of the major summit.